Okay, to start, what is your name and when and where were you born?
My name is Betty Valerie, and I was born September 29th, 1946, in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Okay, what were your parents' names?
My mom's name was Carrie, and my dad's name was Leonard, but he went by LJ.
Did you grow up in Louisiana?
I grew up in Louisiana for most of my life.
What was your house like when you were growing up?
Probably people would say it was pretty chaotic. We lived with my father's mother, my grandmother. Her name was Mama Wells, and it was my mom and 4 children living in her house.
What were your siblings' names?
Peggy, Patty, and Jimmy.
Okay, what did you guys do for fun when you were growing up?
Oh, we played outside a lot. We made mud pies. We played cowboys and Indians. We played dolls. My brother would play dolls with me, and I would play cowboys and Indians with him. And we just skated and rode our bikes. Just fun stuff, mostly outdoors. We played outdoors a lot.
What do you have a favorite childhood memory?
I'm not sure that I have a favorite childhood memory. I have a lot of very fond memories from my childhood, and we just had so much fun just playing. You know, we didn't have a television until I was like 7 or 8 years old, and you just went outside and played pretty much from daylight till dark. And I think I just really enjoyed all those times.
Is there a story from when you were younger that makes you laugh when you think about it?
Well, there's one that I don't remember, but my mother told me. When I was young, she used to work at a store called Montgomery Ward's. And she would work there during the Christmas season so that she could earn some money to buy us gifts. And after Christmas, she would go up to Montgomery Ward's to get a bonus. And she took me with her one day. And the man that was the manager of the store, I think his name was Mr. Pinkerton, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, she had me with her, and he said, "Well, little lady, what did you get for Christmas?" And I looked at him real pitiful, and I said, "I didn't get hardly nothing." And my mother said she wanted to just go through the floor. And he reached over and patted her, and he said, "Don't you worry. I saw what you took out of this store every night." Because there was one thing, we never had much during the year. We didn't get anything new when we went to the store. But at Christmas, my mama made sure we had lots of wonderful presents.
Did you play any sports?
I did. I played basketball and volleyball when I was in probably junior high, which we didn't have junior high back then, so it would have been like 7th grade.
Okay. What were your parents like?
Well, I really didn't know my biological father. He and my mom got divorced when I was very young, but my mother was very strict. She wasn't a huggy, lovey kind of person, but she was someone that I always looked up to.
What was your first job?
Well, other than babysitting, my first real job was I worked for the Department of Welfare for the state of Louisiana. I was like in the transcription pool.
Okay. How many jobs have you worked since then?
Ooh, probably too many to count. Probably about 7, I guess. I'd have to go back and think about that.
What was your favorite one?
My favorite one was actually my last job, because I had a boss who was absolutely wonderful.
What did you do for it?
I was an administrative assistant. I pretty much did everything that needed to be done in the office. Anything from typing to running errands to making sure we had toilet paper.
What hobbies did you have growing up?
I don't really know that I had any hobbies. Yeah.
It's okay. What were you like when you were my age?
Oh, baby, when I was your age, I was married and had a child and probably another one on the way. So I was like I was definitely a grown-up.
Were you still in Louisiana?
Actually, when I got married, I moved to Houston, Texas. And so I lived in Houston, and then from there we moved to Lake Charles, Louisiana, and then back to Alexandria. So.
How did you meet your first husband?
Okay. Well, when I was a teenager, we had a place that was called Palm Drive-In, and it was not like a drive-in that you watched a movie at, but a drive-in that you could drive up and order on the speakers. And so usually on Friday and Saturday nights, all the kids in town would go and ride around and around and around Palm's Drive-In, and then stop and have a Coke. And you would meet people there. And so that's how I met my first husband.
Okay. What is something that you would tell yourself when you were my age? Or like, what's something that like you now would tell someone my age?
Something I would tell a person your age now? That's a good question. That's hard. I would probably say to make sure that you love the Lord, that you follow Him and not just your own thoughts.
That's good. What did you do after you moved back to Alexandria?
After I moved back to Alexandria, I went back to work actually for the welfare department. And I worked there for quite a while, and then I went to work at the VA hospital and worked there until like 1984.
Okay. So then you had all 3 daughters.
Oh yes, I had all three. I had my 3rd child after I moved back to Alexandria.
Okay.
So yes, I did have all 3 daughters by then.
Okay. How did you meet your second husband?
I actually went to play bingo with my mom and dad one night, and he was at bingo and was sitting at our table, and that's how I met him.
Okay. Let's see. What have been some of the most important moments in your life?
Probably the birth of each of my girls. When I knew I was healed from cancer. Yeah, that's probably the most important.
What is something that you've learned as you've got older?
To be very grateful for everything, even the smallest thing.
Let's see. Do you have an all-time favorite song?
Well, my all-time favorite secular song would be Proud Mary. I love that song. I love to dance to that song. So when I'm at a wedding or something, if that plays, I'm gonna dance. I love the song Gratitude, and there are a lot that I really like, but at this particular moment, that would be probably my favorite.
Did you ever play any instruments?
I took piano lessons for about 3 years, but I never really learned how to play. So I can play with one hand, and I can play by ear. So I could go sit at the piano and pick anything out with just one hand.
Let's see. What is a movie you've watched or a book that you've read that has inspired you during your life?
Well, I don't know if you would say that it inspired me, but I have watched The Sound of Music more times than you can count on both hands. And I really like that movie.
What do you like about it?
Oh, I just love all the children and all the singing and how it's just so, for the most part, uplifting.
What brings you the most joy right now in this season of life?
Being with my family.
Do you like to travel?
Do I like to travel? Woo-hoo, yes.
Where are some of your favorite places you've traveled to?
Oh, goodness. Europe, the Grand Canyon, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, I love to travel.
What is your walk with the Lord like right now, and how has it changed over the years?
Right now, I would say my walk with the Lord is more intentional, that I enjoy reading scripture, that I pray more than I ever have in my life. Yeah, so I would say it's different from early in my life, is that I really depend on the Lord.
When did you get saved?
Well, I feel like I always knew the Lord. Excuse me. And I don't have a date that I was just like awestruck and saved. There was one time when I was watching Billy Graham on television, and he was doing one of his crusades, and when he asked people to pray, I prayed with him. So I guess if you were saying when did you like become reborn, or what is it called? No, reborn. That would be what I would say. But I always, even as a child growing up, I knew the Lord, and I knew that Jesus died for my sins, and that I could go to heaven because of that.
What advice or wisdom do you have for your children and your grandchildren?
I think the best advice I could give them is to stay close to the Lord all the days of their lives, to live each day as in light of eternity.
Do you have anything else that you want to add or share?
I don't know if I can do this. I know that I don't say this enough, but I love each one of my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren with all my heart.